Good day and welcome to another edition of Revolt Update. I'm your humble servant Silas Statr. Comrade Daphne Yerema, Vice President to Sisiku Ayub Julius Tabe, the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, currently in La République du Cameroon prison, serving an illegal life sentence by French Cameroon, announced that the former United States diplomat, Ambassador Herman Cohen, has accepted their commission to represent Ambazonia and the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia before the international community. We will get into the details of the whole announcement by Vice President Daphne Yerema. For those of you who have not known who Ambassador Cohen is, let me just give you a brief on who Ambassador Cohen, who henceforth will be speaking, who will be the voice of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, led by Sisiku Ayub Julius Tabe, who, as I said earlier, is currently in jail serving an illegal life sentence by the occupationist regime in Ambazonia, French Cameroon. So Ambassador Cohen is a New Yorker. I'm very happy to say that. I think the great things come out of New York. And Ambassador Cohen is someone with great in-depth knowledge about Africa, and especially in situations like the one that Ambazonians currently find themselves. He has served in Africa for a very, very long time, since 1989, and he left officially African affairs in 1993, but has stayed glued to the developments in Africa. As a matter of fact, Ambassador Cohen has actually written two books about Africa, one of which is titled The Mind of the African Strongman. We all know how, especially from the time when Ambassador Cohen served at the State Department as Assistant Secretary of State, we all know how strong men, even to today, still control the African leadership. Another book that Ambassador Cohen has written still relates to Africa, to show you how interested and how knowledgeable someone like Ambassador Cohen is, and not being an accident to be selected to be the international voice for Ambazonia with the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. This his other book titled Intervening in Africa, Superpower Peacekeeping in a Troubled Continent. Superpower Peacekeeping in a Troubled Continent. This is a study in diplomacy. So you can see how interested Ambassador Cohen is in African affairs. I must also point out that Ambassador Cohen has been very, very vocal and active. One of the only U.S. statesman who is constantly talking about the Ambazonian case. We all recall that back in 2017, he had suggested that Paul Biya of Cameroon negotiate with Ambazonia before it gets too late. And it is now it has now come to the point where Ambassador Cohen has to be the voice for the Ambazonian people in this current situation. This is someone who deeply cares about African affairs and definitely understands quite a lot about Africa. He has also worked in Senegal. He has worked in Gambia. So Ambassador Cohen actually broke the end to the Eritrean Ethiopian War in 1991. So this is someone who has a great knowledge about this kinds of situation like Ambazonia, La République war of independence and genocided Ambazonia is currently suffering with La République du Cameroon. He worked in the conflict in Angola, a similar situation with liberation movements within Angola having similar kinds of diverse views or opinions, which were also very tense. Of course, then it was also related to some of the Cold War situations. But that is to tell you that he understands how African liberation movements also operate. He worked very hard in Mozambique as well. The decision by the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to solicit his representation of them at the international stage is something that is a smart and well thought of idea. The details of how Ambassador Cohen is going to be useful to Ambazonians in this war of liberation and to broke a deal. Will he be able to broke a deal like he did with the Eritrean war against Ethiopia? We are going to find out, but this is someone who comes with a profile that is really, really extensive and massive as well. He has a lot of international recognition, and as someone who deeply cares about African affairs and wants to see Africa actually get off this pot of wars and poverty, and he is actually what some will call a square peg in a square hole. Ambassador Cohen has actually been blogging constantly since this crisis between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon escalated in 2016. Ambassador Cohen has a blog. You can check out more on Ambassador Cohen on his blog, Hank Cohen's Africa blog. That's actually where you would see how much knowledge of Africa and how much concern Ambassador Cohen has for Africa and how much of an asset someone like him could be in a situation like ours. Again, I will not forget to add that he is a New Yorker where I am. So I'm very proud that a New Yorker is taking up the Ambazonian flag and fighting for us as well. So the flag of New York is way up there. He's a graduate of political science from the City College here in New York. So this is actually someone who has the technical know-how, who has the history, the background, a typical example of what anyone would call an expert. So check out Hank Cohen's African blog for more on Ambassador Cohen. I will now just quickly read through the announcement by Vice President Dabney Yerima on this arrangement. It reads, Office of the Vice President, 26 September 2019, reference bar IG Gov-SC 09 bar 2019 bar 05. Announcement. The interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, under the able leadership of Sisiku Julius Ayuk Tabe, is pleased to announce that Ambassador Herman J. Cohen has accepted our commission to be the voice of Ambazonia in the community of nations. Ambassador Cohen is a distinguished American diplomat, a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, advisor to U.S. presidents, and a decade-old veteran of the Foreign Service. He will add inestimable value to Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia existential and sovereign statehood struggles. He brings on board a wealth of experience and savvy in matters of governance, diplomatic and strategic, as well as informed counseling on world issues. We are delighted to have him with us and avail ourselves of this auspicious occasion to welcome him most heartily as we valiantly continue to fight for freedom from colonial depravity and sanguinary repression. Now thereof, one, the international community or Cameroon and her supporters can no longer say that they don't know who to negotiate with. Ambassador Cohen is our key negotiator. Two, only the United States can be a credible mediator, and therefore the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia submit to America as mediator and venue for reasons of mediation, security, and enforcement of resolutions. Three, all Ambazonian prisoners of conscience, epochs, must be freed, comprehensive ceasefire, and all military withdrawn from the territory. Four, Cameroon should recognize Southern Cameroons as a separate political entity equal in status. And five, the Southern Cameroon's leadership is ready to dialogue/negotiate with Cameroon only if all these confidence building measures are implemented. God bless the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Signed, Daphne Yerima, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. It was quite difficult reading from my screens there. Now, our fellow Revolt Update viewers, permit me to give you my opinion of this move from the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. This action by Sisi Kouayou Julius Tabe and his administration to ask for the services of a former US diplomat, it's something that, in my opinion, is a smart move. We must understand that the game of international diplomacy is a very complex one, and it requires seasoned diplomat to be able to get the very best results. And I've always said that at some point, Ambazonians will need to bring in experts to actually do this job for them. Most of such services are quite expensive. Ambazonians cannot afford it. And if a move like this one has been accepted by Ambassador Cohen, who I just read his biography, and you also how rich and massive it is, especially as related to African affairs. It's a very powerful move. I would say it's a big diplomatic step to the right direction. It is now left for Ambazonians to make sure that they liaise and synergize with this great asset that the interim government has brought to their advantage, because navigating the corridors of international diplomacy is quite a hefty task, and it requires someone with knowledge of the routes. And no one comes close to African affairs, the route of African diplomacy, of African international diplomacy, more than someone with a profile like Ambassador Cohen. So this is a big move. I would like to get into more details from yesterday to see how much of what Ambassador Cohen is expected to do for the people of Ambazonia, and probably at what cost. Some of these details Ambazonians are very, very eager to understand. So, which are all very fair questions, and we are we Ambazonians should be very, very happy for this development, and pray that it delivers the required results that Ambazonians expect. Now it is time to put every effort together to make sure that this is done. We must understand that this is a time when there is international focus on this conflict. So this is the time when Ambazonians have to continuously bring their A game. And a move like this one is a very big one. A proof that Ambazonia is ready to engage the international community, and with someone with and Ambazonians know exactly what to do. They understand that we have no diplomat currently working with Ambazonia. I mean, an Ambazonian seasoned diplomat, we don't have any of those yet. But the Ambazonian talents and knowledge of studies, because Ambazonians have great intellectuals who have studied diplomacy, but no one has practiced diplomacy as an Ambazonian before. So this extra expertise that is coming in through Ambassador Cohen is should be greatly celebrated. I want to thank the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia and President Sisiku Ayuk Julius Tabe and his team for taking this move in searching for solutions to this conflict that have devastated our country and our population for over 58 years and greatly in the last 3 years. This is wonderful news. Again, kudos to all those who have contributed in one way or the other to make sure that this becomes a reality. I am well aware of so many Ambazonians who behind the scenes have been reaching out to the ambassador and other experts to seek their expertise in order to prosecute the Ambazonian case. Kudos to all of you out there, and every Ambazonian should be doing that exactly, to make sure that you do your own little quarter to move this revolution forward. Regardless of how you look at it, as an individual, you can only make those efforts, but it comes back to the community to make engagement. I think that is exactly why Ambassador Cohen is engaging with the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia and not with individuals, because that is exactly how it's done. He can only contract on such an issue with an organization, a state, and not individuals. Thank you again very much for watching. This is Revolt Update.